Happy Wednesday and welcome to Woolly Wednesday. My name is Jessie and this is mislaidpages. How are you today? Today is February 10th and we are halfway through the week. I hope you're having a great week. It's been an interesting week for me. I will talk about that in a minute. For the new folks, welcome. Good to see you. For the returning folks, hi. Happy to have you. For the new folks, Woolly Wednesday is when I talk about all of my fiber arts and knitting goodness. I have crocheted in the past. I am not currently crocheting, so it's all knitting for the time being, and also showing off the yarn store that I'm trying to build here. I also I cross stitch as well as diamond paint, and I do a few other crafts as well. And I do have videos for some of those things. I do floss tube Fridays for cross stitching on Fridays, and I do videos for other random crafts on Mondays. I call that miscellaneous Monday. So if you're interested in other stuff that I'm getting up to, make sure to check down in the playlists. I have playlists for floss tube, for miscellaneous Monday, diamond painting, all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in the other stuff that I'm working on, definitely check that out. This past Monday, just to let you know, I posted an unboxing for Where the Fun Never Ends, which is a Diamond Art Club produced canvas with artwork by Mandy Manzano. And she based that off of Adventure Time, which is one of my favorite shows. It's awesome. So that was really fun. So check that out if you're interested in that. So yeah, that's the basics for the new folks. Definitely check out my other videos if you're trying to figure out where I am, what I'm about, and all that sort of stuff. So let's see. I did not post a Floss Tube Friday this past week. And there's nothing big going on. I don't want anybody to be concerned. I was just feeling a bit overwhelmed. I needed a break. Of course, when I say I needed a break, what that ended up being was me taking the weekend to obsessively cross-stitch a new start that I started on Thursday. So I don't know how much of a break it really was. But I did take some time off from filming, so I guess there was that. My brain works differently, let's just say. And so, yeah, the overwhelming feelings have continued into this week. I think a lot of what's feeding into it is that my normal day job has become a little bit stressful in the last couple of weeks. Just some stuff going on that's stressing me out a bit. Again, nothing to be concerned about. These things happen. Everything ebbs and flows, and sometimes it's the actual work that's stressing me out. Sometimes it's internal forces that are stressing me out. Sometimes it's the conjunction of the two. So, yeah, I'm just mentally a little bit, yeah. So, yeah. But I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm making it. I've been struggling a little bit, especially the last couple of days, just trying to keep my cool and keep my calm. But it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna make it. This too shall pass. It'll be okay. So, hopefully, fingers crossed. My full intention is to post Floss Tube this coming week. So hopefully that'll happen. I have plans, so yeah. And as I mentioned, I'm over 500 subscribers, so I'm planning on doing a giveaway. So that's part of what will be in FlossTube on Friday. So if you don't normally watch FlossTube, make sure you check that out so you can find out about what the giveaway is going to be and how to get involved in that. So, okay. So what do we have to talk about today? I mostly have whips for you today. I don't have any purchases right now. And I don't have any specific plans to talk about. I'm in a mood where I kind of want to cast on a bunch of new stuff, and I'm forcing myself not to because I have a lot of whips going, and I don't want to have. I'm already at the point now where I need to buy more size 6 needles because I have too many things on the needles to be able to do all the things at one time. So once I run out of needles, it's time to start finishing things and then starting things. So I do have a whip for you today that I haven't shown you in quite a while. I'll get to that in just a minute. Let's start with my temperature shawl. So this is my 2021 temperature shawl. And this is not any particular pattern. It's just off of a Caron cake. So it's a pretty generic pattern for a shawl. It's ultimately going to be a triangular shawl. So I'll just keep stitching or knitting exactly like I have been until we get to the end of June, and then I'll start decreasing. So it'll increase on this side until we get to the end of June, and then I'll start decreasing, and hopefully it'll be relatively even. I have to do some calculating and figuring to make sure that I have the same number of rows on each side so that it will be even. Or what I might do, okay, now I'm just thinking, I'm just planning on the fly. What I might do is actually do a couple of rows in the center that don't increase or decrease, so that there's actually a flat place at the center instead of a point. I might do that just to make it a little bit more visually interesting. But anyway, the point is, here is my temperature shawl. So this is up to date as of yesterday. So this has, I've knitted through February 9th. You can see that over the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of temperature fluctuation. So it got really cold, and we had some snow, I think, right there. And then it got a little bit warmer. It got pretty warm. Like yesterday was almost 60 degrees. So this green section is, I use green for temperatures between 53 degrees and 62 degrees. So these green stripes are pretty darn warm for February, even in Virginia. But yeah, so there we have it. And I think I talked about it this last week. So this black section is actually a separator between January and February. So that's where we are with that. And as I said, so green is 53 to 62, so yellow is 63 to 72. So in January, we had a day that was like 65 degrees. That's Virginia. Virginia's interesting weather-wise. So yeah, so that's my temperature shawl. And I also have, I've been working on my inauguration celebration. This is a spiffy wedge tote that I got from Caroline at Evertote. This is one of my favorite bags. It's fairly small, like you couldn't put a really big project in here, but I'm actually finding that most of the projects that I work on would fit in here. This is a nice size, and I love the fact that it's got the little strappy doodle. And she makes all her bags incredibly well. They're very well made. I love them. I have a new one coming. I'm excited. And she also includes these little Notions totes with her tote bags, which are fantastic. I love it. So plug for Caroline there. She makes these wedge totes and also some drawstring totes. And excuse me, she also makes flat bags for cross stitching. So you should totally check her out, evertote.com. She should be in the link haven as well. Excuse me. So this is my inauguration celebration. Pull this out without undoing anything and make sure I'm showing you the front. Okay. So the front is towards you. So this is what it looks like so far. Oh, that looks really good. It looks different on camera than it does in person. Sometimes I can see things better when I hold them up for the camera. So that's actually looking really cool. I'm happy with the way it's turning out. So I'm doing this as a scrappy shawl. So Inauguration Celebration was originally called Inauguration Consolation. It's a pattern by Casapinka, who's one of my favorite designers, as y'all know. It's a pattern by Casapinka that she originally designed and released in 2016 when He Who Shall Not Be Named was elected and inaugurated into office. And she re-released it this year as Inauguration Celebration for when President Biden was inaugurated and Vice President Kamala Harris were inaugurated. So I started this on Inauguration Day, and it actually calls for 3 colors. It's designed to be 3 color bands that have some intermixing in between the transitions. I'm doing it as a scrappy shawl, and I talked about this a while ago. It has a lot to do with wanting to represent the colorful and varied nature of people in America and, you know, unifying us all together, that kind of thing, the whole melting pot situation. So I really just wanted to do something that would bring a little bit more to it for personal meaning. So I have started with all these different scraps that I have, and I'll start down here. So at the very tip, it's gray. This is from the mixtape mini set that I purchased from Paisley Pearl. The gray was the main color, and then there were a bunch of minis. The color set was called Sweet Dreams. I don't know if she's still producing it. But the gray was the main color, and then this white with the speckles, bring it up closer, was one of the minis. And then this next color here, this kind of mauvey pink brown color, this is from the White Elephant MCal mini set that I got from Forbiddenfiberco. This color is called Snuggie, which is one of my favorite colors from that set. The next color is also Mixtape from Paisley Pearl. This was another of the mini colors, which is a maroony, kind of like a light maroon pink kind of color. And then I went to Picture Frame. This dark brown is a color called Picture Frame from the White Elephant mini set. And then it's hard to tell, but there actually is a new color. It's a dark mauve maroon kind of color above the dark brown. So I finished off Picture Frame and started this nice dark color. And I'm just about done with section 1 of this shawl. So once I'm thinking I think I have 3 repeats left, which means that I have 24 rows left, and then I'll be starting section 2. And section 2 calls for bringing in a new color. So I'm not sure what color I'm going to use with this, because there will be some color work happening between the two. So I'm not sure what I'm going to use. I might go back into the gray, because I've done a lot of browns, or actually these are, it's not a ton of brown, it's, you know, red browns kind of thing. I've done a ton of those, and I have blue and green to work with next, as well as sort of a golden yellow brown, and like a red brown. So those are 2 more of my scrappy bits. And then I've got blue and green from Mixtape, and everything's getting stuck together. So I've got this green, and I've got this blue. So if I use that gray to transition, I could switch over to the blue and green, which I think would look nice. Yeah, so as you can tell, I'm really undecided about where I'm going next. So I'm going to finish the next 24 rows or so, and then I'm going to have to make a decision. So I'm really loving how it's looking so far. So I definitely want to carry this, you know, this idea of, I mean, it's sort of kind of a fade, I guess you could call that a fade. So I want to kind of keep that cohesiveness going, so I'm not really sure how to accomplish that at this point. And my indecision about that is part of why I started working on this older whip. This older whip. Whip is a work in progress, by the way. I forget that not everybody is necessarily up with the lingo. So I assume if you're watching a crafty video, you already know what the acronyms mean. But if I ever say an acronym that you're not sure of, and I don't explain what that is, then feel free to comment and say, what does that mean? Because I'm happy to share. I sometimes make assumptions. So because I was so undecided about the color, I started working on an older whip in an effort to possibly finish it so that I would have more scraps to work with. So my whip, let me show you it. So I have several of these bags. These I got from Knit Crate. You can see it has Knit Crate. These are fun when they have them available, because if you're a Knit Crate member, they do double down days once a month where you basically get stuff for half off or more. And these I think are normally $4 or $3 or something. So if they have them available and you're on double down days, then you get them for like $1.50. So I have a bunch of these. I have a lot of projects in these. And they seem like they'd be small, but really, if you're working on a one skein project, it's plenty big. So, let me pull this out. So, I have not shown this one in quite a while, and I didn't realize until last night how close I am to actually finishing this. If I had realized sooner, I probably would have gone ahead and finished it. So, let me get this all pulled out. So it's too big to even hold. There we go. This is my Changing Staircases shawl. So this yarn is a colorway called Electric Avenue. It is part of an 80s collection from Paisley Purl. I believe she still does these colorways, these 80s colorways, which I think are fantastic. They're all named after 80s songs. And this is one of my favorite colorways because it's basically a rainbow. And it's so fun to knit with this because the colors just pop up and it makes me so happy as I'm knitting. And this was also my first ever lace project. And I don't know if it's just because it's so spread out on the needles or if it's actually because my technique is better than it used to be. But you can tell my lace here in this section that I just did yesterday is much better defined than the lace that's down here, these lace sections down here. So you can tell that there's spaces and everything, but it doesn't really look as much like lace as this new section does. Just try to hold it in front of my shirt so maybe you can see better. But yeah, so I can tell the difference in my technique because when I started this, I was not real comfortable with purling. I was not real comfortable with knitting in the traditional way. I was knitting only in the back loops because I didn't understand well enough how to loop the yarn around the needle. I discussed this last week, I think. I didn't understand well enough how to loop the yarn, the working yarn, around the needle so that the yarn was in, the loops were in the correct direction on my needle. So it was hard to work the front loop like you're normally supposed to work the front loop with a knit stitch, so I would knit in the back loop. Which made things much tighter. It makes things look different. There's nothing wrong with knitting in the back loop. Some projects actually call for that. Some patterns call for that. But it does make things look different. So if a project calls for traditional knitting or just a knit stitch and you stitch in the back loop instead of the front loop, it's going to make it look different. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It just looks different. So, and I can definitely see that. You can't see it so much in the stockinette section because stockinette really is pretty much stockinette. You can tell if you look really closely, and probably nobody but me would notice, you can tell the actual line that I started knitting yesterday, because I just pulled this out yesterday. You can tell exactly where I started knitting again, because when I came to it, the first thing I did was start knitting traditionally, which made the loops actually twist on the needle. I think does it do it all the way across? No, I only did it halfway across, because halfway through I realized that I could just stitch in the back loop instead of stitching in the front loop, because really all that mattered was how I was wrapping the yarn around the needle, not which loop I was knitting in. But anyway, so so it's one of those little tidbits that I'll notice that hopefully nobody else will notice. So I actually only have 6 sections left, which means I have about 60 rows left on this, and the stockinette rows are super fast. They go really, really fast. The lace rows go less fast, and part of that is because with this particular yarn, as much as I love it, as soft and fuzzy as it is, it does split really easily, and so I have a hard time grabbing the loops for the knit two together the way that I need to. So yeah, so I got 6 sections left, 60 rows, and then this is finished. And I have to say that's a weird feeling, because I think when I started this, I never believed, 1, that I could do it, and 2, that I would ever finish it. Because me and finishing projects, we don't normally see eye to eye. But y'all, this is really close to finished. So yeah, so I don't have very much to go. I actually am thinking that I'm going to try to finish this um, in the next week or two, because then I will have this luscious yarn left over. And look, I have a lot of it, a lot, um, and I love this colorway. So I'm kind of thinking if I finish Changing Staircases, this pattern is by, I think, Dragon Horde Designs, if I remember correctly. I know that the link is in the description. Um, and Paisley Pearl is also in the description. She has some fantastic colorways, y'all. Um, so, so this is what we have now. With that, if I do a section of gray in between, or maybe even the gray and then the blue and the green, would this be too loud? Wouldn't that be too loud with the rest of it? I don't know. I love this colorway. Anyway, obviously I'll have a good portion. Okay, now I'm trying to do two things at once. Obviously I'll have quite a lot of this yarn left when I'm finished, so I can definitely do something with it. Because I love these colors. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll work it into Changing Staircases. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that was. I'm all over the place, y'all. I'm just, yeah. This is just what it is today. I hope y'all are bearing with me. So, anyway, this is the randomness that is in my brain and me struggling to just be functional. So, that was the original reason for me going back to this, because I was like, I love this color. I want to use the leftovers of this color, but I need to finish this project first. Also, I was in a place mentally. I don't know if this is something that y'all experience or not, but it's like I didn't want to start a new project, but I didn't want to work on any of the projects I had been working on. I wanted something new, but not new. And I was like, I haven't worked on that project in a while, and it's not terribly complicated. So yeah, let me do that. Because it was more complicated than my Empower People bandana, but less complicated than the Sharon Show shawl, which is, it's differently complicated than the Sharon Show shawl. And it was different enough that I was like, okay, it's new but not new. This is another thing I was struggling with yesterday. So again, I don't know if y'all experience this, or if this is, I don't know if this is a me thing or if this is an ADHD thing or what this is, but I get into this place with television shows and just watching things in general, whether it's YouTube, whether it's television, whether it's listening to audiobooks. I get in this place where it's like, I need something that fits this mood, but I can't explain what the mood is. Like, I want a new show that I haven't seen before, something that's different and it's going to be intellectually engaging, but it needs to not be visually heavy, or force me to sit and stare at it, because I want to craft while I'm listening to it. And the easiest solution would just be to watch something I've already seen, but it's like, but I need something new. I don't want something where I already know how the story goes. I need something new. I need new stimulation, different stimulation. And then not only that, but there's this extra level of, it needs to be sci-fi, or it needs to be emotionally engaging, or it needs like this. So there's all these different levels. And so ultimately I find myself switching between my different streaming apps for an hour, trying to find a show that's going to check all the boxes, which can be really difficult. It's one thing if you have all these things and you can just pick a show you've already seen that fills those needs. But when you're looking for a new show and you're also trying to, find something that's sci-fi, but also dark humor, but also, like criminal case files, or like detective, I don't know. I don't know what I was looking for. But this is how my brain works. Like, I need a thing that is all these things, and I think this first manifested, and I have two friends named Rachel, two really close friends named Rachel. One is Rachel Ray here on YouTube. The other one is not on YouTube. And I have known both of them most of my adult life. So this is other Rachel, not Rachel Ray. but I first started experiencing this phenomenon with my brain, and other Rachel will remember this if she ever watches this. Um, but it was something that we really saw eye to eye on, because occasionally there would be these times where it's like, I need a snack, but it needs to be chocolatey and fudgy, but also crunchy and salty. like, and we would both go through this thing where it's like, there was this laundry list of needs that this snack had to meet. And so now that is happening with the entertainment that I consume, with the projects that I work on. Like, I really have to sit and go, okay, what project is going to fulfill this need right now? What show is going to fulfill this need right now? And now that I'm learning more about ADHD and how my brain works and how that affects how my brain works, I'm starting to go, is this an ADHD thing? Like, is that why I feel this way? Because my brain works differently. So I can't just go, like, I can't even just use that Netflix, watch something, because Netflix can't tell what I need in that moment, because I can't even tell what I need in that moment. So, this has been my week, y'all. This has been my week. And I just realized that I desperately needed to put that out there somewhere to ask if I'm the only one who feels this way. Things are so complicated. Decisions can be so difficult for me because there's such a vast array of things that have to be fulfilled. And it is frustrating. And trying to explain that to a neurotypical person who can just go, I want the blue one. Well, that's great. I'm glad you can just decide that. I can't decide, even if it's just, there's 3 blue ones. Which blue one do you want? Well, do you want the teal? Do you want the turquoise? Do you want the dark blue? And usually I can narrow it down to 1 or 2, but then it's like, which one? You should see me at a restaurant, y'all. You should see me at a restaurant. Inevitably, if there's ever a situation where I'm down to 2 entrees on a menu and I pick one, invariably after I get it, I will decide that the other one was the better choice, especially if somebody else at the table orders the other thing I was thinking about. This is me, y'all. Okay. This is a weird one. Okay. So, yes, pretty yarn. I have no idea where my brain is today. But those are the whips. That's where my brain is. That's what we're dealing with this week. But yeah. I hope y'all are struggling less than I am this week. I hope you're having a good week. I hope that things are going well for you. If you're working on any new projects, let me know. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about. I don't have specific plans, but I do have some purchases that will be coming at some point. Now, I'm actually going to have to start keeping a spreadsheet of things that I have bought and when they are expected to arrive, because the way that things are working now in the craft world is a lot of times you're pre-ordering a thing that will be shipped anywhere between 1 and 6 months from now. So what happens is I'm anticipating a thing because I purchased a thing, but I can't remember when it's supposed to come out. And with the mail running the way it is, I no longer have any sense of whether something is running late, whether the seller is having an issue that I should check on, like, are they late shipping it? Is it stuck in the mail? Or have I just forgotten the original timeline? So it's a struggle. So that's the thing that's happening. And sometimes I can't go back to the seller's website or their page to find out what the timeline was, because once they stop taking pre-orders, they often take that listing down, which makes total sense. But it's a little frustrating from a customer standpoint because I didn't record it in the beginning and now I don't have anything to reference. But all that aside, I have some exciting things coming whenever they ship. Not the least of which, I am super, super, super excited, and I posted this on Instagram, and I shared the story. There is a Women of Black Panther club that Lady Di Yarns is putting together. I'm so here for it, y'all. Obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, you know, part of the reason that they're doing it is for Black History Month. They have a lot of fantastic clubs for Black History Month. You should totally check them out. There's one about women making history. There's the Women of Black Panther. There's at least one other one that's based on important historical Black women. So they have some fantastic clubs. So here for it. So Women of Black Panther yarn club from Lady Di Yarns. I'm so here for it. It was one of the most inspirational movies I have seen in ages. To be on the edge of how little girls of color must have felt seeing all those fantastic strong women on screen, women who looked like them. It was so inspirational and is so moving still, the whole movie. And of course now with Chadwick Boseman, it's hard for me to even think about it without getting emotional. But regardless, that movie was a fantastic inspiration for people of color, obviously, but I think for all women, not just women of color, but for all women, because it's not often we get to see. Trying not to get emotional. It's not often that we get to see women in strong roles, really strong roles, where they're not there for the sexual aspect of themselves. So these women were here, and they weren't just sexual characters. They were here in the story as real people who had real roles and were very important to the overall furthering of the story. So this yarn club celebrates those women. I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it. I cannot wait. I think it ships at the end of February. I also have my Fresh Prince of Bel-Air club coming sometime. I can't remember when. I think it's again at the end of February, and also Golden Girls. So excited. What else have I bought? I also have gone way overboard with the Gilmore Girls themed things. I have 2 Gilmore Girls themed yarn clubs coming. And I just signed up yesterday for the Black Needle Society Gilmore Girls Stitchy box. I may have a problem. So I don't remember when all of those things are shipping. It will be a fantastic, fun surprise that I'm happy to share with you whenever they show up. So yeah, that's that. Like I said, I don't remember when they're coming, but they're coming someday, and I cannot wait to share it with you, especially the Women of Black Panther. I'm just like, I cannot even explain how jazzed I am about that box. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I really thought hard about getting the Women Making History box as well, because I think that's going to feature colorways inspired by Vice President Kamala Harris, as well as former First Lady Michelle Obama. So that's going to be a more modern box, I believe, or more inspired by more modern history makers, women of color. And then there's also one that's older historical women, older history. I should have researched this before I got here. Anyway, I really thought about the historical boxes as well, but you know, my funds are finite, so I chose the ones that I was the most excited about. So yeah, so that's coming. And at least one of those is actually a mystery knit along. I don't know if I'll do the mystery knit along. We'll see where my projects are at that point. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's the whips, and that's the stuff that's coming in at some point. Oh, I keep forgetting. So right here, I have not, as you may be able to tell, I have not actually started opening my forbiddenfiberco Be Mine yarns yet. I thought about opening them today, but it's only the 10th, so then there would be 2 extra skeins, and it was like a whole thing in my brain. So what I may do is actually unwrap those all in one video and post that separately from Knitcast. Especially because I think you're not supposed to, it's designed to start opening on the 14th, on Valentine's Day. But I don't know that I'm going to do a once a day kind of video situation, so I may open them all at one time and then post it separately. That way folks who don't want to be spoiled before it's time to open each one don't have to watch it until they've opened all theirs. So I may do that way. So I think that's all I have for you today. I'm going to cut it off here because things are getting wacky. Or I'm getting wacky, one or the other. I hope you're having a great day. If you're not having a great day, I hope it gets better. And as always, remember, and I have to do this too, to stay hydrated. Make sure you're drinking that water. I am not, and my skin is so dry, y'all. Sidebar. Make sure to take the meds that you need to take, and remember that good enough is good enough. And I'll see you next time.